executor of Epstein's estate. When he was the primary arbiter of Epstein's estate in business transactions, formations of NGOs, and formations of LLCs over these residences where the trafficking occurred. Why was he allowed to leave with all of that evidence? Why is a new shell company that mirrors the last shell company allowed to control that estate in New Mexico now with no previous formation? It formed just to buy the estate and has no other business dealings that are publicly available before or after. Why? There's a lot of unanswered questions with the Epstein saga that allude to a network of powerful government-laden officials and probably intelligence, especially when you look at the CIA's link to Peter Thiel, Palantir, and Valar Ventures receiving a $40 million investment from Jeffrey Epstein. Right? There is a huge puzzle here that's more than just a conspiracy theory that is laden with facts. The facts are the FBI chose not to raid and collect the contents of the New Mexico ranch because it went under the radar. After Jeffrey Epstein was exposed in 2007, he could no longer operate in Florida as he had with impunity. He was busted for his operation in Florida. So he just used Florida for his social circles. However, he operated with impunity at Little St. James and in New Mexico up to that point. Little St. James was too on the radar because of Virginia Giuffre and so many victims citing it. Well, two of the victims, Virginia Giuffre and another one, also cited New Mexico, right? In their court transcripts, they cited what happened at New Mexico, but the FBI chose not to raid it. Why? Why did they allow all of that evidence to go into the hands of the attorney or whoever handled the transaction of the selling of that estate? Why? There's a lot of unanswered questions here that allude to an ongoing criminal network, and that we have to get to the bottom of it because it involves the current security state and the AI and surveillance state that is emerging from the big beautiful bill and the executive orders of Donald Trump when it comes to the AI Prioritization Act, administrative action he took. So there's a lot that it's all ties together, and I think that if we don't get to the bottom of it, the people who are capable of such an egregious crime as child sex trafficking in the number of thousands and as leverage and are still continuing to cover it up today, they're going to be in control of or are in control of the most centralized power in human history when it comes to AI, weapon systems, drones, and surveillance tech. Okay? And they have no moral compass. They act with impunity against the Constitution, and that is something that we all need to really take to heart right now as we look at this thing, because that's what's going on here. Let's go to Stephen. Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey, Diligent, thanks for the space to speak. I just want to thank you for having these spaces throughout these couple of weeks that I've been listening to your spaces, and it's been really eye-opening, and I thank you for your neutral, objective this research that you're doing, because it's very important. Obviously, there's a lot of noise with the media and with all the different influencers out there that are clearly following talking points that are coming from above and other things. But so thank you for that. I think it's really important. I do want to ask you about something, a point that you made earlier about debating about the leniency for Maxwell. My question to you, the question I propose to the space is, how can we trust what she's going to say, knowing that she's being, she's for lying in court? Not only that, but it was Trump's own personal lawyer that now works for the government that conducted the interview. These interviews are not public. We don't know.
I believe she's been tampered with.
Pardon?
I believe that she is now a tampered with witness. I'm with you.
Yeah, so that's where I would push back on what you said earlier, that Why do we think that she deserves any leniency at all?
I think that she can provide information that can be corroborated with evidence. So the things that she says that can be corroborated is what should have weight. If she says things that can't be corroborated, then we should leave them alone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Uh, the only thing that I want to just comment on is I know personally a lot of people are coming into your spaces that are not necessarily, MAGA, ultra MAGA people, and I want to just praise you on that because you're bringing people in from both sides and you're staying very objective, which I'm sure is really hard, especially, given that you still have admitted that you are a Trump supporter and you've gone to rallies and you supported President Trump for a while. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of pushback because I've gotten pushback from friends and other people about questioning the handling of this whole Epstein saga under the Trump administration. And yes, it is very suspicious. Yes, he is acting very suspicious, but it's because no one can deny that there's things that do implicate him, maybe not criminally, but there's things that might be embarrassing to him and other people. So we can understand why they won't release them. But that is the frustration, right? Like even if it's embarrassing, just release the files. Let it get, let's move on. And my only hope is knowing that this will be Trump's last term in office, according to the law, anyways, in the Constitution. Just go ahead and get it over with. Even if it's embarrassing, you've already had, your successes and your failures, but this is such an important case for so many people, especially the victims, because it really broke my heart listening to some of the people that would get in your space that were MAGA supporters that followed Trump for years, supported him, voted for him, and are just heartbroken by these statements that he's made and the way that he's handling this because, they believe Trump. They believe that he was going to expose everything and be truthful. And I know that you have blamed, Pam Bondi and all their staff for the mishandling, but Trump is dead.
I've held them all equally accountable. I feel like Pam Bondi was getting thrown under the bus a little bit to distract MAGA, to be honest with you, because she wasn't one of the social media influencers that the administration put as a forefront of the FBI, of the law enforcement agencies. You know what I mean? Dan Bongino and Cash Patel have a huge rapport with their audiences, and so people are going to be way more biased towards towards them, regardless of what they say, as opposed to Pam Bondi, who is an outsider and a stranger, and people are going to instantly not trust if things don't line up with what she's doing. When all three of them said that it was a suicide, and then all three of them said that we could see a tape that would prove it, and then we were released a tape that was edited and in Bondi's own words, definitively inconclusive. They all need to be held accountable for lying to the American people.
Yeah, sure. Don't forget though that Pam Bondi did serve as Secretary of Attorney General for Florida while the case was ongoing. So I wouldn't say she's a stranger to all of this. She was questioned back then.
MAGA, that's what I meant though.
Oh, okay. She was questioned back then about her, about the whole case and the Costa affiliation and the decision of Costa, and she didn't do anything about it then. So it's, I don't know. It's complicated. That's why I think people like you that are doing the research, because I go about my day and I do what I do, and I do listen to your spaces because I feel like I'm getting at least both sides. And like I said, again, thanks for being objective and staying and following facts.
I'm trying to do the best I can, sir. I'm not perfect, but I'm doing the best that I think I can. And I think it's important that we get to the bottom of it. Thank you, Stephen. Shadow, you're off mic. Are you trying to say anything, Ezra, or are you glitched? You glitched. All right, let's go to Hobbs. Go ahead, Hobbs. Hobbs, are you there? Okay, let's go to John Kitover. Repost the space, everybody. Bottom right corner, we have a lot of requests. I'm going to bring some people up.
Hey, to me, Bill Gates is really the guy who's at the center of all this, being one of the richest people in the world, going on TV and saying, well, Jeff is dead, so I guess he's not a problem anymore. Bill Gates, from COVID-19 on, has been nothing but a disaster for the world, for America. And I think his relationship with Epstein, the assassination of Epstein, I think a lot of it is tied to Bill Gates and Bill Clinton. And hopefully Massey, Thomas Massey, will be able to bring forth that act and actually get us more documentation. But with the legal industrial complex, the deep
I
state.
just want to say that I don't endorse or condone any of the. Like, there is evidence that Bill Gates was frequenting Jeffrey Epstein's estate numerous times. His ex-wife did break up with him on the premise of that, and he also did make considerable contributions to Jeffrey Epstein's nonprofits. So it's not baseless. Continue.
I'm just saying that it's a big club and he's in it and we are not in it. And so as patriots and truth tellers and seekers of justice, I think the legal industrial complex is such bullshit that they will spend an inordinate amount of money suppressing any information that comes out. And so I am very skeptical that we will see documentation or evidence. I think Ghislaine is honestly the pin that could blow this hand grenade up. If she could just get on Joe Rogan for 3 hours, I think we would have more content than we know what to do with.
That. Bring her in my space. Bring her in my space. We'll get to the bottom of it.
I agree, but for global distribution purposes. Now, if you believe that there is a conspiracy theory from JFK to 9/11 to COVID-19.
So you're not going to discredit my space by spouting off a bunch of conspiracy theories. Okay, I've been shutting that down regularly. So I was willing to let you talk about Bill Gates because of his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, but you're getting off the rails. So if you want to keep it on topic, especially to the topic at the top of the space, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, I didn't think Trump was talking about young girls that he was stealing from the spot. I thought he meant.
Probably an English. Unmute your mic.
Can I jump in there, Diligent, because he's gone mute?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, everyone with a moderate IQ can spot a disruptor. This previous speaker comes in the space and he immediately starts talking about COVID-19, which is a way to discredit, distract, turn people's attention to other things. The minute somebody brings up a topic like that, don't even give them the benefit of the doubt. Just remove them immediately.
I've been pretty good about it, bro.
No, I know you have. I could see where that guy was going, and it was ridiculous. The other thing is, and I know I have to be careful how I say this, but from a legal perspective, there's a lot of questions around Donald Trump's personal behavior when it comes to some of these specific girls. You and I and many people are aware of the fact that there was I guess you could say a lawsuit that was had been initiated some time ago. Then that lawsuit disappeared for a bunch of different reasons. And
it was unsubstantiated.
Yes, well, is that the case? I don't know. All I know was that there was
literally when it was recanted, it was unsubstantiated. That was the final. If you look at the court document, it was unsubstantiated. The woman, it was shown to be unsubstantiated, and then the woman withdrew the filing as a result.
Yeah. You know, and okay, you are correct when I think back on that. What I will say, and again, it's not meant as a distraction, but when a young woman speaks about something like that, I generally believe the person that is the potential victim. That's all I'll say about that.
I think that we should remain objective, regardless of any claims that are being made or about who. We should always just look to evidence to support the claims, and not believe anybody firsthand, because that, as we've seen in the history, that can be weaponized against prominent figures or prominent people. we should always look for corroborating evidence when it comes to claims about people's illicit activities, regardless if it's sexual or otherwise. I think that people play on the empathy that's involved with sex crimes, especially towards women, because they're vulnerable, which, you know, is a natural reaction. And actually, I actually, you know, I have empathy with that reaction. However, you know, we need to remain scientists when it comes to accusations and stay with evidence and corroborating evidence to find truth, because truth is not found in emotion. Feelings are facts.
Fair enough.
Let's go to Penny. Go ahead, Penny. Penny, can you hear me?
Hi.
Token liberal. Hi.
No, I'm here. Diligent. It's Penny. Real quick. So, talking about the lawsuit that the gentleman was just referring to, where is the evidence that you have that it was recanted? You have to remember I'm a lawyer, so I pay attention to words.
Sure. Let me pull it up.
Thank you. Because I know it was withdrawn or dismissed.
Maybe I used the wrong word. It was withdrawn. Is the recanted not the right term?
No.
Yeah, when you retract it, recanted.
Yeah. So, just to give some evidence.
The issuer of the suit, the woman making the claim, withdrew the claim. So is that not recanting the statement?
There's not actually a statement made. So what happened was, when it was a verified complaint, this is just where I'm going with this. Verified complaint means it's under oath. You can't just, you can get in a lot of trouble if you bring a frivolous lawsuit, or if you state something under oath. Obviously that's perjury. And what's interesting about that one is that there was an affidavit or a declaration given by a witness with no skin in the game. She wasn't seeking damages. She wasn't making her own independent claims, but she was corroborating the allegations in that suit. So it's just food for thought. I know I'm just giving facts.
But it was never seen through in trial, civil or.
No, that's correct. But it was a.
So it wasn't substantiated through a court.
Well, it wasn't substantiated through a court because it was never proceeded with because of allegations of other things. So I won't get into that. But at the same time, it is somebody's testimony that was made. Again, you're right that it was withdrawn. However, it's just something to think about as I guess.
But it was unsubstantiated because she withdrew it.
Well, not necessarily, because she withdrew it. But the thing is that what I'm saying is that she made it in the first place under oath, and for reasons unknown, she withdrew the complaint. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like somebody who makes a written.
Right. It was never scrutinized by a jury, correct? Where
no, that's correct.
If she had been found to perjure herself, well, then she could have been held accountable. But because she withdrew it, that examination was never allowed to occur. So it was unsubstantiated by a court.
No, she wasn't. She was never cross-examined.
Right.
It was just, absolutely. But I'm just
so
saying,
it's not evidence because it was unsubstantiated. It was just a statement made by an uncorroborated, witness or a complaint.
Yes, but again, what I'm saying is it was a verified complaint, so it was made under oath. However, it was withdrawn. That's not saying that it was not recanted. But what I'm saying is again, just as there's a word for it, but like considering everything, and I'm not saying that Trump is a pedophile. We don't have evidence of that, period. I mean, except for there's just what's the word I'm looking for?
Allegations are not evidence, Penny Lane.
What was that?
Allegations are not evidence.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is, though, if you look at everything as a whole, it's just something to think about. And what I think the bottom line is we just need the darn file. I mean, people keep saying, well, he's, or whomever, everybody's like, well, Mr. Trump, President Trump has given has explained himself. I don't understand how. He can explain himself if he would have his Department of Justice release this silly file. That's the problem here. Like, what is in there that, again, and if it is as he recently alleged, he says that
I actually don't trust what the Department of Justice has either, to be honest with you. The administrative state, and I don't mean just Trump's, but also Biden's.
No, I agree. No, I absolutely.
The administrative state has had custody of that evidence for too long. However, there is a body of evidence in the adjacent cases that aren't in the purview of Washington, D.C., for example, New York and in Florida, that could bring some real revelations to this case, as well as the Virgin Islands and New Mexico. There's a whole body of evidence that we have that just hasn't been collected by the administrative state, i.e. the DOJ, that could bring a lot of truth and light to what we're discussing here. However, that's not happening. That means that I would say that the lack of action we're witnessing from that state, including the DOJ, the Trump administration, or any previous administration, shows that they don't want to. And I would demand that they do. And I need Trump to demand that they do. We're on the same page here. Trump should be demanding that the DOJ does everything that it can to bring this entire case to light. Period. And he's not. That is where I have a problem with Trump. But, is he being lied to? Why is he acting the way he is? Why is it different than before? I want to know.
You're right. We have
he needs to be asked the right questions.
You just nailed it. I mean, that's what it is. It's like, there is evidence out there. We do not know why. With respect to the president specifically, we don't know why it's not being either sought or disclosed. And that's where the problem lies. And so I think that it would behoove everybody who would like to show what the truth is to take every step within that person's power to collect the evidence, that the people that actually, different than you and me, they can actually tap into that and provide it to the people, and then we can make decisions on, or a jury or whomever, or the public can make decisions on what really happened. So yeah, no, I hear you. No, that's a good point. All right. Thanks, Diligent.
Sorry, I was replying to a comment to the space. I am paying attention to those, and when you're replying on the timeline, you can't get back to the mute button. Elon, if you're listening, please give me a floating mic button so I can answer anytime I'm hosting the space. Would appreciate you, brother. Much appreciated. Let's go to Miss Lou. Go ahead. Thank you for that, Penny Lane.
Hey, Diligent, I'm on Bluetooth. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I can't remember in our history of spaces if we've made any connection between Wexner and Trump, financially or otherwise. Has there been any connection between the two?
I don't know. I'd have to go back through all of our spaces because we've been doing them. This is space like 2030 or something.
Yeah, I know. I went back in the.
I did do a deep dive into Wexner. I did it a few different times.
Okay.
There's some overlap there, but not. I don't know to what degree.
Was he ever subpoenaed in front of a courtroom? Diligent, I
don't recall.
Because obviously he might have a pile load of information if we can get it. So he's just been kind of like the quiet dark horse that no one really talks about.
Yeah, tomorrow I've talked about him ad nauseum.
You have as much as anybody has, of course, but we don't seem to have any feeling about where that is. Is he actually a conspirator? Can't answer that.
I don't know. We need to take someone needs to be taking a look at the financial aspect of it. It is definitely really, really crazy.
Really crazy, since he handed the entire fortune over to Epstein in terms of his power of attorney. That's crazy. That to me is like, what? Someone that wealthy, that powerful, just hands the keys to the whole deal over to Jeffrey Epstein, who was basically back then a nobody.
Yep.
So,
Yep. We looked at that. We looked at that really critically over the last few days. If you want to listen to those spaces, you can take a listen.
Yeah, it might have been one that I missed. Fair enough. It might have been. There was a few days there I missed stuff. All right, I'll check it out, and thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Bottom right corner, reposting space, everybody. We're going to go a little longer. I'm going to have dinner probably here in an hour or so, and then I'm going to do some spaces R&D, Epstein R&D. I've really honed in on Epstein's attorney that is an executor of his estate. Dude's been working for him for 30 years, this Indike fellow, and has acted with impunity for the most part. And like once you get down to like all of the things this guy has been allowed to get away with and hasn't been brought in by the state for his involvement in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes, it's really interesting. He keeps a very low profile. He's always stayed behind the radar. He's not on social media. And same thing with Jeffrey Epstein's accountant. Those are the two executors of Jeffrey Epstein's estate even today. And what's funny is that there's this LLC that was formed while Jeffrey Epstein was in jail, the 1953 LLC, that moved a lot of money around just days before Jeffrey Epstein's so-called suicide, which I think is very, very interesting. Tonight, when we do our research and development space, I'm going to focus just on this guy. And I'm going to put out a thread about him as well, because I want to know why he wasn't investigated. I want to know why he wasn't subpoenaed. I want to know why the DOJ, the FBI did not raid the New Mexico ranch where there was a lot of evidence. These are things that the public needs to get attention of and needs to be broadcasted across the world. That way Donald Trump can see these things, or the DOJ, or somebody with an iota of moral compass can say, hey, this is a problem. This occurred during Trump's first term. Okay. The arrest and the raid occurred during Trump's first term. The lack of pursuit of investigation occurred under Biden's term, his first term. And now we're seeing it continue today. So this isn't a party issue. This is a government issue, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. Bottom right corner, repost the space. Shadow, are you trying to say something? No. Okay. Let's go to, I'm going to drop you down, bring you back up. Let's go to Luna. Go ahead, and then we'll go to No Mercy.
Hi, Diligent. Thank you for the mic again. And I just want to talk about the spa situation. So I do live in West Palm Beach. I am 3 miles south of Mar-a-Lago. I have a massage therapy license from 1998. So what happens is that in these big spas, they contract out the spa element to a subcontractor. One of the companies is called WTS International. It's very popular. They contract from here to Florida to Arizona to Colorado, all of the big spas. And basically what you do is you rent out the spa location, and they take care of all of the continuing education things and making sure that you have quality therapists that go to these spas and that they're validated in whatever they're saying, Reiki or lymphatic drainage, it doesn't matter. So the Trump spas do that. They contract out. And what I want to say is that basically it's like leasing out the land also. Because if anything ever happens, like maybe a slip and fall or something like that, it goes through WTS. It doesn't go through the property, which could be any of them. I personally worked for a property called the OEAU, which is in Palm Beach. You could look everything up that I'm saying. And you cannot say that it had to do anything with the property of Mar-a-Lago because they broker it out. I have a friend that's worked for Mar-a-Lago through WTS for 20 years. She has had no problems. It's been a great job and wonderful. So a lot of these things that you're talking about, you know, like Trump had this spa thing going on, can't say that. It's a completely different business. Like, we got to get our gears in the right jam because it's not what it looks like. There's another company which is privatized that basically leases these properties. And look, it happens in Phoenix, it happens in Colorado, it happens all over the country. And they're the ones that control what happens in the spas. So stop saying like Mar-a-Lago had a spa and this happened, that happened. It is not how it works. Sorry, the gears are not jamming right now.
I mean, she either worked at Mar-a-Lago or she didn't, and he admitted that she did, so nobody's misconstruing it.
No, but you work through the company, WTS. And even if you listen to me, go on Indeed and apply for a job as a therapist at Mar-a-Lago, and you're going to see you're going to apply through WTS. Go right now, just apply.
So I understand how temp agencies work and staffing agencies, like it's, you know what I mean, but I just want to nobody was indicting Trump here, at least on stage, for her working there. And I think that there's a misconception that she was working there as a masseuse in the spa. From my understanding, and somebody can clarify me if I'm wrong, she was just an attendant, which means that she was bringing out towels, cleaning, doing all of that type of work, correct?
So let me say this too. So if you know, oh God, this is a lot. So if you know Mel Ken, she has a podcast. She's very popular. She's on podcast spaces, everything like that. She was one of those attendants. She worked at Mar-a-Lago, and she could tell you, and her parents are very, very, very influential in Palm Beach County for donating to the Republican Party. Her sister went on to be a big pediatrician in New York, and the other one went on to be in Florida.
Does it answer my question?
No, what I'm saying is that she worked at Mar-a-Lago. So, actually, it's awesome. But what I am saying is that you can work there, but not work under the Mar-a-Lago credentials.
That's fine. Thank you so much. Let's go to Marcus. Go ahead.
Hey, so just real quick, on that, the word gains with the recantation withdrawal thing, another way to look at it might be that if you grant something, you're basically making a statement saying that what you previously said was not true or was not accurate for whatever reason. So you can withdraw something, basically say, I'm going to give up without necessarily recanting it. Just wanted to put that tidbit in after listening to that. But for the majority of it, the thing that kind of gets me is that Trump obviously would know what was in what he did with Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm not sure if there's going to be anything in there that's going to sort of incriminate him necessarily. I think the thing to look at would be that throughout history, historically, whenever there have been big controversial events with a lot of very influential people wrapped up in it, once it's realized that revealing it may cause some type of societal unrest, there's a tendency to try to bury it as quickly as possible and try to get past it. So it might be more that once they saw how much stuff there was and exactly who was involved in it, they realized that if they released it, it was going to seriously risk the fabric of society, and they made a decision of like, hey, we're just going to let it ride, kind of, which isn't necessarily right, but it's possible. So.
Yeah, that's brought up a lot, but it's something that I don't subscribe to. There is no trade-off. If society has to crumble because the truth is going to come out of a child sex trafficking ring, then it needs to crumble.
Oh yeah, I'm with you 100%. I am with you on that one. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that that's an explanation that whether it's right or not isn't that kind of doesn't work. Basically, I'm more saying that makes sense to me versus that they somehow talked about it all the time, knowing that there's something that there's going to incriminate them. It makes more sense that they are making this poor decision to try to bury something that should never be buried. Seems we've done that so many times in the past.
Hello.
Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Loud and clear, thank you.
All right. So yes. So first and foremost, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I recently left the Democratic Party like last year, and I voted for Trump, a Republican, for the first time. The first person in my family to do so. So all of this, being that I stepped out of like a family construct for this man, I am a little bit concerned with how everything is going with the whole Epstein thing, being that I am a mother and it is all about the children. And I just have like more questions and answers. That's why I've been listening to your spaces for just to see if I can get all the answers that I need. But one of the questions that I have is yesterday you guys were talking about all the people that surround him and, in his cabinet. And I wonder, after the assassination attempt, did he have a cabinet before the assassination attempt, and then afterwards did he just say, you know what, like the whole JD band?
Do you think that he had any psychological trauma as a result of that?
Oh, of course. I honestly, anytime, I just, like, on a personal level, for me, when I was like around 15, 16, I was held up at gunpoint. And to this point, I cannot like fully get into a room, and my back has to be on a wall at all times because of that. So there's like an emotional and mental trauma that's happened with him. And like for me, it's just the fact that I'm thinking maybe he had a completely different cabinet in his head that he wanted, but now because of what happened, there was a lot of speculation as to why he chose JD Vance. Out of everyone that he could have picked, he could have Peter Thiel's boy. And I am thinking that, okay, maybe all of this happened just so that they can get his attention and say, hey, listen, you need to pick our people so that you can be okay.
I hope that's, if that's the case, which I believe that there is the possibility of something similar to that.
And
that's extremely frightening for the state of our republic if that's the case, is it not?
And because you have to also understand, the person involved, the guy who almost killed him, he had the
sooner about them, and hopefully vice versa. But I just want to make that statement because I know that that's a politicized kind of thing that's going on where, you know, Canada-U.S. in tension. But I want you to know on a citizen level, we love American citizens, but we might not always agree with the government's decisions and statements right now.
I don't trust any government.
Yeah, any of them. Likewise, I wouldn't be surprised if ours is implicated in this whole fucking thing too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Sean and we'll finish with Sincere. If you guys can keep it short, I'm running late. Sean, are you there?
So Hamas has said
Okay, Sincere, go ahead.
once the prisoners are released,
Man, I want to thank you again, dude, for the awesome work you're doing. Now, if you could just give me a few, I just want to talk to the listeners real quick.
geometry,
Listen,
and I know that
this man
for a
right
fact.
here,
That's the way
diligent, he's been putting some hard work.
what you want to do. You want to play chess instead of learning
I would never
on
come
the
into
area of
this
a circle.
space.
Go ahead and play
Right,
chess. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, let me answer on that. You can't. We have a chessboard. We have a chessboard outside my room.
I love
Hold on a second. You
I
can't.
love
You
chess.
can't.
But the point of a geometry class is not how to play chess. It's to learn freaking geometry.
Were you watching what they did? Was it like definitely the thing he was doing was just like willy nilly? Anybody
Dude,
could jump?
I went to a high school.
Oh, you were in the same school? Cool. Cool, Marshall. I didn't know you were in the same school.
I had the exact same thing in my geometry classroom in high school.
Well, you don't even know the thing is he has, Marshall. You just kind of
On
jumped in, right?
chessboard.
Marshall, I taught game
Set up
theory
at
at
the
Harvard,
back
bro.
of the class.
Bro, I literally
All right,
played chess and
we're not
game
gonna
theory
do
at
this.
Harvard.
We're not
Yeah,
going to do this.
because what it's called is not listening. What it is that you have a bunch of ideas in your head, and when we're asked what the question is, Marshall's jumping into the defense just to answer a simple question. My simple question was,
And I have to
do you know that it was Willie?
It's a chessboard. My point
Game
is-
theory is a cool thing, right? Like a lot of math teachers. I wasn't quite done, Marshall. Marshall, I wasn't quite done. Hey, Marshall, I don't know why you're so triggered,
I'm
bro.
a moderator, and I get.
But that's fine, Marshall, and you're triggered by the question because you're scared, Marshall.
Hey,
It's
Santa
just, no,
Claus.
you're interrupting me,
Santa Claus.
Marshall.
Santa Claus.
Claus.
I can interrupt if you will.
No, hold it.
I don't-
Santa Claus. Pro Lyrical goes Santa Claus. Now, Marshall, finish what you were going to say.
The only thing I was going to say was Anson is right. You can't address the subject of geometry unless you're somebody who's exceptionally gifted, which was about to be the argument Pro-Lyrical was going to make. But learning geography, geometry doesn't require using a chessboard. I had a chessboard in the back of my geometry class. And when he got done taking a 15-minute lesson, we could play chess for the rest of the class. Guess who didn't really learn geometry? Me. And it was because the teacher